Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Yes, we are back today. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yes, yes, it's gonna be a thing. Yeah, I really don't know what to say. I don't got anything in my head going on. I'm just here. uh, yeah. If you guys are into the strategy thing, then yeah, Endless Space 2 was definitely where it was at yesterday. A little odd, yeah. I'm not sure what else to call it other than, yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so tired. I woke up, I think, like an hour ago. A little under an hour ago. But for some reason, I'm still yawning. Well, let's get down to business. Oh, man. Trying to think of something to say, but I don't got anything. Head thoughts. Or, what is it? No thoughts, head empty. Yeah, that's me right now. So. Christ on a bike. Jeez. Stop. Well, let's get this baby rolling. So, okay. Chapter 2, Part 1 Sweet Home Chicago. But wait, it gets better, Rook. Okay. July 6th, 2016, 8:45 a.m. It's been 2 days since the last time you met Gabriel and Michael. There's been no contact from any of the Archangels, and you're starting to wonder when anyone's going to call you. They did say to wait 2 days. You and Mouse have settled in quite nicely at the apartment. You bought some groceries, and you had someone come over and fix your toilet, courtesy of Gabriel. Mouse has been making sure there are no bugs or hidden cameras in the apartment, and so far, he's found nothing. He's also been busy creating something in his room. Whenever you try to see what it is, he always hides it from you and says that it's a surprise. Today you wake up and walk out of your room half awake. No, stop. Ugh. Today you wake up and walk out of your room half awake. Yeah, that feels like me. And see that there's already food on the table. Mouse already made breakfast for the two of you. He walks out of the kitchen and greets you. Morning, boss. He takes a seat at the table and starts eating his breakfast. Your stomach grumbles, so you take a seat across from him and start eating the meal. Mouse prepared for you. It's really good. This is really good. Thank you. He smiles before taking a sip of his milk. The two of you start talking about recent events. You mention how painful it was to go through the piercing assault. Yeah, the piercing assault on your ears during the firefights. You actually realized the day after your left ear was bleeding. Oh, before I forget, he stops eating and pulls something out of his hoodie. It's the size of an earplug, and taking a closer look, it might possibly be an earplug or two. Do you remember when I was busy making something? Mouse asks you. You nod. Well, I came up with this. He puts it on the table in front of you. You grab it and take a look at it. It looks like small earbuds with a miniature microphone linked together. One of them's an earphone and a microphone, and the other seems to be an earphone and a receiver. It also has buds that act as earplugs. You put them in your ears, and they feel comfortable. And then you hear a voice from the earphone just as Mouse starts to speak. Can you hear me now? You nod. Surprise! I made you an earplug slash earphone. I also noticed at the church that I was holding my ears most of the time because of how loud it was. So I made these, he says as he shows you his own earplugs slash earphones. Thanks, Edwin. You're welcome, boss. He grins. Knowing Mouse, he didn't just make these regular earplugs slash earphones. I made 5 of these, 2 for us and 3 for the rest of the crew. They work they work on a specific frequency so only we can hear each other. It's completely untraceable, untappable, and it seems just like a normal earphone, he says with a cocky smile. You start wondering about the crew you picked 2 days ago and when Gabriel's gonna call you. Just then, Mouse mentions something. Oh, Gabriel sent me an email this morning. He told me to be ready for a call, he says as he takes out his phone. He also sent me a few things about the jobs we'll need to pick up later. How many jobs? Well, there's an ATM thing at the Southgate Mall in front of the Maxwell, and the jewelry store called Velvet Cuts in the middle. And we have to pick one? Yes, we pick one, and we case it today. So, which one do you want to learn more about? Tell me about the jewelry thing. He fiddles with the phone and shows you a picture of a very fancy jewelry store with a sign that says Velvet Cuts. Mouse swipes the screen and it shows the inside of the building. Velvet Cuts, located in the loops. There's two ways you can go with this: nighttime or daytime. The picture shows that the building is very much alive during the daytime. Though there aren't many customers, it's still pretty crowded. Daytime's the most obvious choice because the jewels are on display ripe for the picking. All you gotta deal with is the crowd and the cops' response times. It'll be a classic stick up. Then he shows you a picture of the same store, closed after nighttime. Or you could go in at night, though you'll have to break in. Since it's nighttime, the jewels will most likely be safe in a safe or some sort of locked hard box under the counter. He shows you a picture of a CCTV. The cameras are rigged for motion sense. Sorry. The cameras are rigged for motion sensors. Just be careful of the alarms. If it is triggered or you're not fast enough with those safes, you're gonna have to deal with the cops. That being said, it's gonna be a fun one. He smirks and puts away his phone. What else? Tell me about the ATM thing. Al shows you his phone, and it's a picture of a mall. This is Southgate Mall. The ATM machines are inside. He swipes the screen, and it shows a picture of a row of 3 ATMs. There's one ATM. Oh, there's one ATM from VAM Finances, one ATM from HBBC, and one from Crimson Trust. Oh wait, no, that's supposed to be just regular dialogue. There's one ATM from VAM Finances, one ATM from HBBC, and one from Crimson Trust. Our main target is the Crimson Trust Deposit ATM. It'll be a quick one. What about the other ones? There are also two more ATMs from two different banks. If you want to open them up, just make sure you've got enough time. Tell me about the one from HBBC. You point at the smaller one. It's a small ATM, not much security, and a decent amount of money inside. Maybe. What about the one from VAM Finances? You point at the big one. It holds the most amount of loot, but it's also the hardest one to open. VAM Corp loves their money and they intend to keep it. Then he shows you the building's layout. This is the mall. ATMs in the corner, right near our possible exits. That's all we need to know for now. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. That's all we need to know for now. If you want to go for it, we can case it today. He puts away the phone. What else? Nah, I'm good. Alright then. He finishes his breakfast before putting the dishes in the sink. I'm gonna go take a bath. Mouse walks out of the kitchen and picks up a towel before going into the bathroom. You finish your meal and put the dishes in the kitchen. You wait for Mouse to finish taking a shower before taking one yourself. You come out of the bathroom and dry yourself before putting on the leather jacket and jeans that Greg sent you yesterday. Yeah, sorry dude, but I'm not much of a leather jacket type of dude. You're walking out of your room when suddenly your phone rings. It's a blocked number. You pick it up and hear a familiar voice. Okay. It's Gabriel. The mill, now. Oh, and bring the cookies. And with that, he hangs up. Mouse walks out of his room, dressed in a hoodie as usual. Did Gabriel call? Bring the cookies. We're going to the mill. Mouse nods and goes to the kitchen to get the cookies before following you out of the apartment. As you and Mouse exit the apartment, you see Caden waiting for you, leaning on an SUV. He nods towards the passenger door before walking around the driver's seat. You enter the SUV and Caden drives you to the mill. The three of you arrive at the mill and there's no one around. Caden leads you into the office where Gabriel is currently reading through a couple of documents. He sets down the documents and stands up as you walk in. He still has his white mask with the red smiley face on. You wonder if he ever took it off between the time you last saw him and today. He opens his arms. Kids, did you bring the cookies? He asks. You show him the jar of cookies and he gestures for you to set it down on the table. As you do, he starts to take off his mask. This is it. He's going to show you what he looks like. He takes off his mask, revealing a ski mask and sunglasses beneath it. You're a little disappointed that you didn't get to see his face. He opens the jar of cookies, grabs two, and sits back down. Grab some. They're amazing, he says before munching on one through the mouth hole of his ski mask. Mouse takes a bite and nods. Wow, this is amazing. Caden grabs one and also nods in agreement. Do you ever show anyone your face? No. Nope, he says plainly as he munches down on the cookies. Except to Michael or Raquel. I never show my face and neither do they. What are the cookies for? Well, I hadn't had breakfast yet and I was hungry, he says through a mouthful of cookies. Grab a cookie. You grab one and take a bite. It smells delicious and sweet. It tastes like vanilla and it's soft, but also but also crunchy. This cookie is amazing. Told you it was amazing, Caden says. You can see a smirk beneath Gabriel's ski mask as he munches on the cookie. Who made these cookies? I did, Gabriel says. You never thought he'd be as good a baker as he is a criminal mastermind. I don't bake often, but when I do, it's good. Caden smiles. He actually makes cupcakes too. Only when I want to, he says through a mouthful of cookies. So, what's the job? He gulps. Ah, right, the job. Gabriel finishes his cookie and stands up. Caden, show him the list. Caden pulls out a tablet. I'm guessing Mouse already told you about the other jobs. He shows you two pictures, a row of ATM machines and a jewelry store. Pick one. I already have my own job. Gabriel explains. You'll pick a job, and you'll be casing the job today. Caden has already cased his job, so he'll be staying here and planning it. You start hearing cars arriving from outside the office. Ah, that must be the team. Gabriel puts his mask back on and looks at you. Well, which one do you want to start with? You got two choices in front of you. The ATM machines or the jewelry store. Jewelry store is always nice and safe, so let's do the jewelry store. Alright, so... No, he does not say that. Sorry, I don't know why you yawn so much. I'm sorry. Okay. Alright, so... Gabriel looks back and forth between you and Mouse. The jewelry store we're looking at is called Velvet Cuts. It's high class, high standards, and is practically a money laundering. It's practically a money laundering and jewelry fencing office at the same time. Caden sits back on the couch and says, You're gonna have to case it first. Sit in the loop. He pulls out a set of car keys and throws it to you. Take the SUV. Ugh. Sorry. Getting breakfast a little out of my system, if you know what I mean. No, I'm not on the white, shiny porcelain throne, if that's what you're talking about. Okay. There's two ways you can go in. Nighttime or daytime? If you feel like going in silent, nighttime would be good, Gabriel said. But if you're feeling loud, you can always rob them during the day. Send them a clear message, Hayden says with a smirk. If I've heard correctly, you're usually the one to do the casing, Gabriel asks, looking at Mouse. Mouse nods. Yeah, I usually do it alone. Good. Now go. Meet me back here when you're done. Gabriel ushers you and Mouse out of the office. As you leave, you see Charlie and Aunt Anna walking towards the office from a parked SUV. Justin and Carly have also arrived together. Ain is also here, but Kaz is nowhere to be seen. You and Mouse hop into the SUV and drive out of the mill towards downtown Chicago, specifically the Velvet Cuts jewelry store in the Loop. On the way, Mouse researches everything he can about the jewelry store. He seems pretty happy with his findings. Velvet Cuts, the owner's name is Rocco Salvatore. Part-time store manager, stolen jewelry fencer, money launderer, and adult film enthusiast? Why would they write that? Mouse swipes through some of the pictures, then looks away. Oh god, that's huge. That poor girl. Okay, moving on. He swipes through the pictures to find a decent one. You take a peek at the pictures, and it seems that Rocco likes to both sell and wear his jewelry. Most of his pictures involve him wearing some sort of gold or diamond accessories. Even in the nude ones. Ah. A few minutes of driving later, you find the jewelry store, which has a huge dark red sign that reads Velvet Cuts with a diamond for the V. You also read it as Elvet Cuts. So I'm going in unless... He looks at you. Want to do the casing while I map the area? Let's both go in there. Oh, okay, this is new. Mouse perks up happily as the two of you hop out of the car. You and Mouse make your way inside the store, and looking around, this place isn't all that crowded. Though there are a few people browsing through the displays. There are currently around 7 people, not including the clerks and guards. The store is decorated with mirrors and strips of lights diffused by panels up in the ceilings and walls. The glass displays make a path into the center of the store, where a single glass display pedestal lies on a cross point. Walking up to it, you see a very beautiful dark blue sapphire necklace set upon a throne-like stand. Wow, it's beautiful, Mouse says, gazing at the gemstone. She is, you hear a deep male voice say from behind you. Turning around, you see a tall, handsome, well-built, and rather tan hunk of hunk of a man in a dark red business suit and shirt. Though his top 3 buttons are parted, revealing 2 gold necklaces, one of them holding a seemingly priceless diamond laying upon his well-defined chest. Why? I don't even know that, man. Stop. He smiles at the two of you and says, She's been all over the world. From where it was first found in Nigeria, sold in Spain, stolen in Italy, last seen in Iraq before it was stolen again, then recovered here from the collection of one of the most prominent mafia bosses in all of Illinois, Al Capone himself. He gazes at the sapphire with a smile and says, Sadly, it's not for sale. Oh, it's fine, we were just looking around. Al says, Oh, are you two married? Oh no, we're just friends. Oh, sorry. Well, life is short. Live it to the happiest way you can, he says with a smile, a chuckle, a shrug, and a hint of regret. The name's Rocco, by the way. This is my store. He turns his attention to one of the other customers, a tall young woman in an elegant yet revealing set of clothes, currently gazing at one of the several magnificent pieces of jewelry. If you would please excuse me, he says as he walks off towards the woman. You and Mouse decide to look around, splitting up as he looks for the CCTVs and alarms while you look for exits and entrances, along with the jewelry that you'll hopefully be stealing. Looking around, you see a few guards. You count a total of 4, all armed with pistols and tasers. You hear a Mouse whisper through your radio. God's watching us. I think they're curious as to why we're checking out their cameras and alarms instead of their jewelry. You turn and look at one of the guards, and sure enough, he's watching you. They're not suspicious per se, but they're definitely watching. Try to act natural. You look away, trying to act as natural as you can. Thankfully, none of the guards seem to pay any mind as they continue their regular routine of looking tough and staring intently at other people. You continue to browse the store, and you spot that one of the doors leading to the back has a keypad, which gives the signal that the door must lead to a security room. I've looked around enough. Are you good? Mouse asks. Let's go, you say. Right behind you. You and Mouse walk out of the store and hop back into the car to discuss your findings. Mouse clears his throat and says, Alright, so 6 CCTVs total, not counting the ones in the back room. There are 3 doors that lead to the back half of the store. One of them leads to the bathroom, the other leads to what we can only assume to be the security room, and third leads to the back office. He looks at you and says, You can start driving now. You start the engine and drive away from the store. As you reach an intersection, Mouse gestures for you to turn the corner. Turn here, he says. You continue to drive down the road, and in the distance, you spot what appears to be a police station. This store is only a few blocks away from a police station. Smart move. Mouse bites his lip in frustration. If we're going in during the daytime, we might want to move quickly or expect company, Mouse says. Nighttime, on the other hand, we might have to break our way in, but I don't think that'll be a problem. However, there may or may not lock the jewelry in a safe, so we don't know where the actual safes are located. Mouse pulls out his laptop once more. And when you come to a stop at a red light, Mouse shows you a picture and says, This location is a bit of a maze for a getaway, so if we don't have a fast car, expect company. You notice on the map that there's a construction site near the store. It would be a faster route to get away. You point it out to Mouse and he says, Oh, the construction site? It's basically all mud, so unless we have an off-road vehicle, we might want to steer clear of that. The light turns green and you drive back to the mill as Mouse continues his research. The mill. You arrive back at the mill and most of the crew seems to have left. The only one there are Gabriel, Anna, Hayne, and Charlie. You hop out and ask, Where is everyone? Caden is already preparing for his job. There is 3 stages of any job. Casing, planning, and execution. Caden just finished planning. Gabriel says. So, we've finished casing? Mouse says. Yes, and now your plan. Gabriel says, looking at your crew. Alright, so I have what we need, Mouse says as he runs to the office. Just start the briefing without me, I'll be there in a minute. Need to print something. Gabriel looks at you. Well, off you go then. He pats the back of your shoulder, pulls out a phone, and starts calling someone. You walk over to the table where your crew is waiting, and you prepare yourself to brief them. Mouse returns with some printouts. What's our job? What's our job? What's our job? Charlie asks. A classic robbery, a diamond joint. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's easy money. You straighten your posture and say, Classic robbery, a diamond joint. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's very easy money. There's a jewelry store called Velvet Cuts in downtown Chicago. Specifically, the Loop. As you're about to continue, Mouse rushes over to the table and sets down a huge map and a couple of blueprints, which almost completely cover up the table. Here's the blueprints. Where did you get that? Kane asks. Gabriel has an archive full of blueprints, he says before continuing. The store is located within close proximity of the local police precinct, meaning there's gonna be a fast response if a 911 call ever goes out, he says, pointing at the map of the area surrounding the store. We can either go in during the day or at night. What's the difference? Charlie asks. Daytime will be faster and a bit easier, but a little risky. Jewels we're after will be on display. All we'd have to do is make sure the crowd doesn't do anything stupid while we empty the display cases, Mouse explains. And nighttime? Kane asks. There's too many Brits. Nighttime will be easier since there's no crowd, but the jewels will be stowed away in a safe somewhere, and we'd have and we'd have to break into the place, which will probably be rigged with alarms. Mouse looks at you and asks, "Which one do you want to go with?" "Let's go in during the day." Ugh. Well, Mouse pulls out a picture of the store's interior. The entrance, the customers inside. Oh damn. But I keep making this mistake. Okay. Well, Mouse pulls out a picture of the store's interior. The entrance, the customers inside, and the guards are all visible. It's gonna be a little crowded, but nothing we can't take care of. We'll also have to take care of the guards. They're paid quite handsomely, so they'll be a little foolhardy. What if somebody calls the cops? Romeo will have to Romeo will have to control the crowd. Mouse looks to Hayden. Make sure no one does anything stupid or tries to use their phone. However, if someone does call 911, it'll only take around 5 minutes for the cops to arrive. So best to make sure no one does anything stupid. What about the jewels? The jewels will be on display. The glass might be rigged with alarms which will probably automatically call the cops. But if you can get into the security room, you can disable the alarms first, then start smashing. Mouse says. Hannah looks at you and says, I can get us into the security room. Then she puts her bag on the table. She pulls out her circular saw and crowbar and says, I can open it about 2 to 3 minutes. Gabriel looks at you and asks, why don't we just use explosives? We can't. It'll trigger the alarms, Mouse says. He looks over to you. Unless you're okay with that. If you're okay with dealing with the cops, then we might as well just go in and smash all the displays and take care of the security guards in the security room later. Sorry. If you're okay with dealing with the cops, then we might as well just go in and smash all the displays and take care of the security guards in the security room later, Haynes says. Everyone turns to Hayden and she leans back and crosses her arms. She shrugs and says, I'm just saying. Well, we'll use the saws. Hannah nods and said, I'll prepare the blades tonight. Then she packs her stuff back into the bag. Alright, next in line is the security guards in the crowd. Mouse looks to Hayden and says, Daytime will be a bit crowded, but there should only be about a dozen people in the display room, including staff, but not counting the 3 security guards we've got so far. We don't know how many are in the back office or the security room. How do we want to deal with the guards? Mouse turns to you. Hayden says, I can either tie them up or just hold them at gunpoint. She thinks for a few seconds. We'll need to buy some plastic cups from Greg if you want to keep them tied up. Mouse looks to you and says, Gabriel says that we should keep the civilians alive, but he didn't say anything about security guards. Kane leans forward and says, they've signed their contracts and insurance policies. They know what they're getting into. True, but it's up to you and what happens to them. Mouse looked at you expectantly for an answer. Buy the zip ties. $100 for 20 zip ties? 20 zip ties for $100? No, there's no way. How much does a zip tie cost? There's no way. There's no way a zip tie costs that much. Let me see if they have a 20 pack. 20 pack zip ties. Well, it doesn't say, but this is 100 pieces. 100 pieces for $22.58. I'm getting ripped off. Ah! Why can't we just go to the Home Depot and buy it, dude? Oh, no. Alright, Mouse says. I'll go buy them from Greg. Alright, so the god's taken care of, Mouse says as he scans the photographs. Next is the crowd. We cannot shoot them, that's obvious enough. And knocking them out would take too long and be a bit risky. My guess is there should be around 7 to 12 civilians around that time. So, either hold them at gunpoint or tie them up, Haynes says, looking at you expectantly. Mouse looks at you and says, we have about 20 zip ties. If you think that's enough, we'll just use them. Think of an efficient way to deal with the crowd. You look at the blueprints and you try to think of a way to deal with the crowd without having to sacrifice any of your crew to watch them while you loot the jewels. Okay, we passed. Your mind hits upon an inspiration when you see that there are no windows in the bathroom. If you have the whole crowd locked in the bathroom, none of your crew will have to watch over them. We'll move them all in the bathroom and lock them in there while we smash the displays, you inform the crew. Alright, so with the crowd and the gods taken care of, we'll need to move fast on those displays. We'll smash them, put everything into the duffel bag, and get out. Hopefully before the cops come, Mouse says. Anna looks at the picture of the jewelry on display and says, counting every display in the room, it'll take a good 5 minutes if I'm doing it by myself. I'm gonna have to assign each person to a specific task. Except maybe Charlie, who will need to stay in the getaway vehicle. By default, once the crowd and the security is dealt with, the Uriel will be working on the loot. The Ramiel will be handling the crowd. Meanwhile, the Sariels stay in the getaway vehicle and watch for cops. However, you are the Raphael, so you could assign each person to any job you want them to work on. You look to your Uriel, Anna, and say, Anna, I need you on display looting the jewels. That glass won't stand a chance, Anna says. You look to Ramiel, Hayne, and say, Hayne, I need you to smash and grab those jewels. They're as good as ours, Hayne says. You look to your Sariel, Charlie, and say, Charlie, I need you to stay in the postal van and watch out for the cops. Right, I'll be there if you need me, Charlie nods. And now you must choose a role for yourself. I'll be in the main room bagging all the jewelry. Alright, so Mouse looks to Anna and says, Oreo will be looting the jewels. Then he looks to Hayne and says, Romeo will be looting the jewels. He raises an eyebrow. Oreo too. Then he looks to Charlie and says, Sario will be watching for cops. Finally, Mouse looks at you. And you'll be bagging all the jewelry, he says, along with Oreo. There's a pause. As well as Sario. You just realize that no one is actually watching the crowd. But you then remember that you don't need anyone watching them since they'll be in the bathroom. Is this gonna be our plan? Mouse asks you. Mouse asks you. Yes, let's continue. You look over to Mouse and he nods at you and says, I'll be here monitoring police activity and watching for 911 calls as always. I'll direct you through the plan. You nod. Now for the last part of the plan, the getaway. Alright, with that pot handled, next is our getaway. Mouse says, pointing out a couple of routes on the map. We have to keep in mind that we may or may not be chased by cops when we get through these routes. The first path is a path leading from the jewelry store straight to the mill. It'll be out in the open and you won't necessarily immediately lose the cops. But it could work. Oh, man. Sorry. First path is a straight one. We'll be out in the open for the cops to chase it, but we'll lose them after a while around the later turns. Mouse says, tracing his finger along the route before moving on to the second one. The second one is more or less a shortcut that leads right to the mill. The route zigzags around this park and through an alleyway. But it's fast and will definitely help you lose the cops quickly. However, the driver would need to be very, very good at maneuvering around those tight corners. Second option is to go around the park and through a couple alleyways. It's fast and will lose the cops fast, but we'll need a driver who's really, really good. Mouse says, Well, Charlie, boy am I glad that we picked you, kid. Scan the map for an alternate route and you see that there's a construction area near the jewelry store, which could provide a very fast route back to the mill. And it would probably help you even lose the cops. There's also another way. This one's a bit rough though, he says, and he runs his finger over the construction site. You might want to avoid it since I don't think our vehicle would be able to go through that terrain, he says. Current vehicle might not be able to handle going through the site. So, what is it going to be? You look at the map and say, we'll drive through the second route. Charlie will drive. Understood. Understood. Charlie nods. Alright, that was the last part of the plan. Mouse claps his hands together. All we have to do now is wait until heist day, which is whenever Gabriel gives the go. Until then, I'll prepare the necessities, Gabriel says as he starts cleaning off the table. The whole crew nods and breaks off on their own. Anna and Charlie walk to their car and Hayne walks to her car before they drive off, leaving you and Mouse on your own with Gabriel. While you and Mouse are finishing up, a black muscle car drives through the open gate and parks inside the mill. A man in black cargo pants, a black shirt with long sleeves, a black tactical vest, and a black balaclava steps out. He has two pistols holsters on his thighs. You can't see any part of his face except for his eyes as he walks in your direction. You feel a slight tug on your arm. You turn around and see Mouse, visibly nervous and scared. And then from the muscle car, you see a female figure hopping out. She's wearing a dark gray cat-like hockey mask with purple whiskers painted on its cheeks. It's Raquel. Wolfie. 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 Just in case you can't hear it through the grumbling. Gabriel shouts as he walks over to the man walking toward you. This better be worth it. I was sleeping, the man says with a weak and sleepy voice. At 11 a.m., they meet in the middle. I had a rough night. Alright, I need your help, Gabriel says. I know, you told me, Mystery Man replies. The two of them start walking together with Raquel following behind them. As Gabriel passes you and Mouse, he says, "You two go ahead and prepare. I'll give the word in 3 or 4 days." "So, what's the job?" the man asks. "Alright, so we're gonna need to kidnap the mayor." Gabriel's voice trails off as they enter the office. You and Mouse look at each other and shrug. You finish up and walk back to Caden's car, then drive back to the apartment with it. 4 days until the heist. You walk into your apartment with Mouse, flop on the couch, and check the time. It's still 11:45. You've got a full day to prepare for the heist. "I've sent the necessary preparations required to Gregory. We can pick them up a day before the heist," Mouse says. "I've also sent you the crew's contact info. So if you want to chat with one of them or something, you can just call them up, assuming they're not busy." Your phone buzzes with a notification. Mouse has sent you a bundle of contact info. You think about what you should do with your time, and a few local establishments come to mind. You could visit a couple places and heard about a few more. There's a gym, a shooting range, a theater, a go-kart circuit, and the library. Mouse flops on the couch next to you, then turns on the TV, and the PS Box 4 gaming console booting up the game Field of Battle for. "We have about 3 days, so you might want to get busy," he says. "What should you do to pass the time? It's currently 11:55 a.m. What would you like to do?" That's a good question. Uh, let's, I suppose we can hang out with the crew member. We'll hang out with Hane. We'll go in order of Hane, Anna, Charlie, Edwin. You call Hane and she picks up. "Hello? New phone, who this?" she says, faking an accent. "It's me." "Oh, right." What the hell's a normal Canadian accent? Doesn't it just sound like a regular American one? "Oh yeah, Canada. Maple syrup, man." Oh, damn it. That's the only thing I can think of as a Canadian accent, dude. I'm sorry. "All right, what's up?" he says in her normal Canadian accent. You tell her that you want to meet up, and she says, "All right, uh, all right. I've got nothing better to do. Meet me at Greg's shooting range." "All right, see you there." You hang up and get ready. You arrive at Greg's church Soon thereafter, you make your way down only to find that Greg is nowhere to be found. Instead, Tracy is there to welcome you. She tells you that Greg is currently busy handling arms deals up north. You tell her you're here for the shooting range, and she points you to the far end of the shop. You soon find yourself in the back of the shop where there's a large underground shooting range. For obvious reasons, you didn't bring your own gun. Instead, when you arrive, Hayne is already there setting up a few assault rifles and pistols. The shooting range is bustling loud. Even through the ear protection, you can still hear the incredibly loud gunshots of Greg's workers test firing various weapons, from pistols to machine guns to miniguns. Hayne doesn't seem bothered at all by this. She looks as if she's in her natural habitat, surrounded by gun grease, gunpowder residue, and lots of firearms. You take a booth next to Aim, and she greets you and then hands you a loaded pistol. "Try this out. FNX .45 APC." You take the gun and quickly realize that it's considerably lighter than most pistols. You take an aim and fire a few shots. You fire off 5 rounds, and 4 of them hit. "Lucky," she says with a smirk. "Nice pistol, eh? Feels good in your hands." She's right, it does feel good. You nod and she takes the pistols and hands you a submachine gun. "Try this one, MP5K. Also 9mm. It looks familiar. You think for a moment and you remember that this is Charlie's submachine gun. Isn't this Charlie's? You ask. Yeah, borrowed it for the day so I can tweak it, she says. What are you tweaking? You take aim at the target. Nothing. I just wanted to shoot it. She waits for you to fire. So, how long have you been with the Archangels? About a month or so now, she says with a shrug. I don't talk much, and they pay me well, so I keep my mouth shut. Why did they pick you? I don't know, maybe because I've got boobs, or maybe it's the fact that I can shoot a man's balls off from half a mile away. Well, you are pretty. You smirked. I mean, boobs wouldn't get you anywhere alone, right? Okay. She looks you over from head to toe, then smirks. Keep your eyes on the top of it if you want to keep your balls beneath her dick. Fair response. Before you ask. Before you ask, no, I've never seen Michael, Raquel, or Gabriel's face, she says. What do you think about them? You ask. Well, they pay me well, and they let me shoot at people and not get caught. I know I used to be a cop, but sometimes when life throws you shit, you start considering throwing some back. Ask if she knows anything about the main trio. Well, I haven't been here long. All I know is that they have. Oh, damn it. Wrong person doing the wrong line again. Common mistake. Very common. Too common. Well, I haven't been here long. All I know is that they have absolute control, and whatever they say goes. Has anyone seen their faces? You ask. As far as I know. Hell, I don't even I don't think they even know each other's faces. Why is that? I don't know, I'm just guessing. I know that Gabriel's the only one of the three who actually talks normally. Michael uses some sort of electronic distorting thingy, and I barely even met him. And Raquel doesn't even talk like at all. What about their real names? As far as I know, they could be the chief director of the FBI, the president of the United States, and the Queen of England. And I don't have a single clue what their names are. But Gabriel, Michael, and Raquel are good enough for me. How could you work for someone and not know who they are? If the most notorious and feared criminal organization in all of New York State comes up to you and asks if you need a job, and you need money badly, you take it and don't ask questions. Ask about her skills. Because, skills get, or what is it? Skills pay the bills or something. Right? That's the line. Yeah. Well, what about my skills? She replies. I shoot people better than anyone in the crew. Except Gabriel, she smirks. How did you learn your skills? Mostly from Gabriel. But my asshole dad used to take me out hunting. He would challenge me to beat his range record. And I used to surprise him. She gives you a cocky smile. And Gabriel? Gabriel is probably the deadliest member of the Archangels, she chuckles. I don't know if it's luck or skill, maybe both, but that guy can shoot a target the size of an apple with a revolver from more than half a mile away. And I've seen him do it. So, he taught you? Yes, but to be honest, he taught me a lot of things. One of them being how to shoot quickly and accurately. She smiles, staring off down the range. Ask about her life before joining the Archangels. Shitty and cold. That's my life before and after joining them. Why is that? Well, ain't you the nosy one? I was just curious. You shrug. Let's just say my dad hated me and I hated him. But he's dead now, and I spat on his corpse.
Literally. Let's leave it at that. It seems she doesn't want to talk about it any further for now. Best not to push her. Pushing buttons or someone I'm going to be on a team with is definitely not something I want to do, so we shall leave it be. Or, alright. Alright. She sighs. I don't mean to be rude, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry. Ask about her relationships. Careful, curious George. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to, she says, chuckling. But have you ever been in a relationship? Yep. Once. Asshole cheated on me. What happened? She cheated on me with another guy. Don't want to talk about it. She looks away and fires a shot down the range. She doesn't seem to be in a mood to discuss any further. Pull the trigger. You pull the trigger and hope for the best. Bang, 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 bang. You fire off 5 rounds, and 4 of them hit. Missed one, she says with a smirk. She grabs the MP5A2, fires the rest of the magazine at her target's head. All 15 shots hit, 11 of them in the head. Impressive. She smirks at you, reloads the magazine, and proceeds to fire all the rounds downrange again. Every round she fires hits the target, mostly in the head, but some in the body. You sure don't want to be at the end of the barrel when she's the one holding it. Believe it or not, I wasn't this good when I first joined. Gabriel taught me a thing or two about sharpshooting. A man knows how to hold his breath and take away others. Let me tell you. She pulls out her own M4 carbine, the one you see her carrying almost everywhere. Here, I'll teach you something. You spend a good 5 hours chatting and shooting with Hayne, and she teaches you how to shoot and how to clean your guns. She wraps things up with the shootout between you and her at the targets. Of course, not each other. Which weapon would you like to use? Our AR-15. With your rifle, you and Hayne square off against each other to see how quick and how accurate you can each shoot. Though it was close, one. It looks like you learned something after all. She chuckles. Nevertheless, your skill and weapons and accuracy have increased. As the competition comes to a close, the two of you pack up your weapons and leave the range. On the way out, Hayne stops by one of the displays at the front of Greg's store. She stops and stares at the rifle hung on the wall as if admiring it. It looks like a regular AR-15 with a dark green paints on the handguard, grip, buttstock, and scope. It's beautiful and pristine. However, one thing that catches your eye is a Canadian flag engraved upon the magazine, well on the lower half of the rifle, with the inscription Diamaco C7A2. Not only that, but there's a fine floral engraving on the buttstock of the rifle, stopping just before it reaches the receiver. The handguard, on the other hand, has barbed wire engraved on it, encircling the whole handguard until it reaches the barrel, in contrast to the floral patterns on the buttstock. It's much longer than the M4A1 carbine. Sorry. It's much longer than the M4A1 carbine Hayne uses. I remember these things. It used to be my service rifle when I was in the police force, Hayne says, touching the glass of the display case, admiring the rifle. Beautiful, isn't she? Asks one of Greg's assistants, Tracy, as she walks up to the counter. That's an understatement. Hayne chuckles, keeping her eyes locked on the rifle. This rifle was custom made for one of our customers. Unfortunately, he passed away before we could finish it, Tracy says as she opens up the display case from behind. Then gently takes the gun out of its housing. Is it for sale? Kane asks as Tracy hands her the rifle. Yep, it's full auto, chambered in 5.56 by 54 by 45 millimeter. It comes with its own suppressor, a C79 L-can scope, and has a hair trigger. As you can see, it has custom engraving, stock, and handguard, Tracy says. How much? Sorry, my voice broke. How much? Kane points the rifle and aims down the scope. 4,329, Tracy says. You can hear Hayne gulping as she gives the rifle back to Tracy, saying, Yeah, okay, never mind. Sorry, but the prices aren't negotiable, Tracy says, putting the rifle back into the case. Hayne shuffles her hair and says, I'll come back when I have some money. I'll pay for it. Really? Hayne looks at you curiously. Yeah. You look over to Tracy. Do I need to do any paperwork? 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 Nah, as always, just pay what you see on the price tag and the item's yours. Tracy gives you a warm smile as you pull out your wallet and hand her $4,329. Who carries that much cash? Ooh, this seems like a very poor idea. She gladly takes it and hands you the rifle. Congratulations on being the new owner. She smiles at you. She smiles as you hand the rifle over to Hayne. She's taken aback by what you just did, and you can see her cheeks turning red as she smiles down at the rifle, cradling it like a precious baby. She looks up at you and says, Thank you. I don't deserve this. She tries to hand the rifle back to you, but you insist on letting her keep it. She thanks you and gives you a warm hug as she slings the rifle over onto her back. Thank you so much. This means a whole lot to me, she says. You and Hayne finish up and make your way out of the shop. You and Hayne part ways. She bids you farewell and you return home. It's currently 5:58. What would you like to do now? Hang out with a crew member, Anna. You call Anna and the phone rings for a few seconds. Yeah, hello? I'm a bit busy right now. You hear Anna's voice. She sounds rather frustrated and you can hear what sounds like tools being moved around in the background. Oh, sorry, it's me. I'll call you back. You say, Kits, oh hi. Her tone perks up after you speak. And whatever she was doing, she stopped. It was nothing, just cleaning up the workshop. They need anything? Yeah, did you want to hang out again? You ask. Yeah, sure, let me check on Charlie and you can meet me at the mall in the loop. Alright, she says in an excited tone. Alright, sorry. I know, I yawned too much, I'm sorry, I don't know why. Alright, see you there. You hang up and get ready. Will you be bringing your Beretta M9? Nah, dude, I'm good. Decide not to bring it with you. Okay. Arrive at the mall, which is simply called the Block. You walk inside as you suspected. At night, the place is quite crowded. You look around for Anna and can't see her. So you text her and she tells you to meet her in front of the Alpha hardware store. You look at the map and walk over to the shop. As you approach, you see Anna eagerly waiting outside in casual clothes, a sleeveless shirt and jeans. She has her dark red hair tied in a sophisticated bun behind her head. She turns and smiles when she sees you. Hi, she says, walking up to you. Hi, how are you? Doing good. How are you? She asks. How are you? She asks. Doing well, so what are we doing? She turns to the hardware store and says, so I'm gonna head on inside and buy a few things for my workshop back at home. Come on. She nods to the front entrance and urges you to follow as she walks inside. You walk in with her and the two of you find yourselves browsing the tools section. Anna stands back in awe at the display of saws and drills. She thinks to herself about all the things she could do with them. She looks at you and smiles. You can do a lot with these things, she says as she picks up one of the impact drills and puts it in her cart. But you can do a lot more when you walk outside the law. She smirks as she pushes the car further down the aisle. The whole store seems to be her element. She looks happily enthusiastic as she gives you lectures on how saws and drills can help with your jobs. She starts explaining how drills need to be modified before they can be used to cut through vaults and safes. The drill can be used to either break the locking mechanism or just make a hole that makes things easier for the safe cracker. It's all about where you drill the hole. She goes on and on about drills and saws. Do you keep listening? Listen to everything. You gain a few lessons in engineering, machinery, and a thing or two about wood cutting. You learn that she's pretty well versed in her skills as a craftswoman. Eventually, she pauses. So, I'm betting you've got some questions about me, she says, stopping in front of a set of drill bits. She grabs the drill bit, the most expensive one, and sets them down in the cart. Ask away. I'm an open book, but I'm mostly in a language you may or may not understand. She gives you a smile. You haven't really known her that long, but she seems to trust you well enough.
Oh no.
Sorry. After we finish Anna, I'll take a small break and have a sip of water. So, how long have you been in the crew? She thinks for a second. Less than 2 months. Well, at least me and Charlie both tried to find ways to contact the Archangels, but we ended up with nothing.
So, how did Gabriel recruit you?
Well, miraculously, he found us. Charlie and I were sitting at home one day and we got a letter from him. An invitation. More or less to meet with the main trio. We traveled to Manhattan, met with Gabriel, and he offered us a job. What was the job? Just a regular piggy bank chase, he says, referring to the slang for armored bank car robberies. It's funny, though, because the plan involved robbing 3 armored cars, but they were in 3 different states. Me, Charlie, and Raquel had to take out one of them in New Jersey. Gives you a cocky smile. What about the other 2 armored cars? We were never told about the others, and we were told not to tell anyone, even our own crew. She shrugs. But in the end, we all met up in a warehouse in New York. Same warehouse where you first met Gabriel. He looks to you. Ask her if she knows anything about the main trio. Michael, Gabriel, and Raquel. She hums as she taps her fingers on the top of the cart. They're quite the tricky ones, I'll tell you that. They never take off their masks. Like, ever. Has anyone even seen their faces? You ask. You shrug. I don't know. Hayden sure doesn't know. He's told me. And I don't think anyone in the entire Archangel's crew knows any of their faces. She says, I haven't even met Michael yet, she adds with a chuckle. What about their real names? She shrugs again. Nobody knows. I'm just starting to think they don't have any. How could you work for someone and not know who they are? You ask curiously. Mostly by the reputation they have. She smiles and cocks her head. We may not know who they really are, who they're working with, or who they're working for. But we know very well, what they can do. They pay us big, and that they keep everyone happy. Well, everyone in the crew at least. He nudges you with her elbow. The two of you stop, and she walks up to one of the saw blades on display, grabs it, and throws it in the cart. Titanium, carbide, tungsten tipped. Easy to cut through safes. Why not just use the drill? Takes longer, and it doesn't always work with most safes with glass relockers, she says. Ask about her skills. My skills? She looks at you curiously. Oh, well, when me and Charlie were still children, we lived in a cavern home, in a caravan camper. Most of the things we had was homemade stuff. Stuff our father built, she says, walking through the aisle. He taught you? I taught myself mostly, but he taught me how to use the tools safely. He taught me how to use drills and saw to drill holes and cut wood. I simply learned how to use them for their other purposes. She smirks. How good are you? How good am I? She looks to you, tilting her head and smiles. Given the right equipment, I can open any door, any safe, any vault, bring down any wall. With the right equipment, nothing can keep us from our loot. She gives you a proud smirk. How did you get started in crime? Now, that's a different story. She looks away, smiles, and sighs. A story for another day, perhaps. Ask about her life before joining the Archangels. Getting a little personal, aren't we? She asks. I'd like to know who I'm working with. I told you this already. She chuckles as the two of you stroll down the aisles. Anyway, me and Charlie got into a few monetary problems when Charlie started losing his races, and Mom and Dad died. I was the oldest, so I had to make the decision. What was your first job? You ask. She looks at you, surprised. Then remembers the two of you share the same occupation. Well, it was a small can opener and a jewelry store in Kent. It was a clean job, no fuss. We got in at night time, hacked the alarms. I broke down the door to the back room and cracked the vault open with saws. Easy peasy. She smiles. How much was the take? Around 4,500 pounds. That's around 5,500 in dollars. She smirks. A good take for my first job, but more eventually came and I started loving it. What about Charlie? She sighs and looks at you. At first, I wanted to keep Charlie away from the criminal life, but when I found out about his illegal street racing, he begged me to take him along the jobs, and I did. And he was good at it. Very good. She smiles before continuing down the aisle. Ask about her love life. My, you sure are brave. She smirks and cocks her head. I've tangled with a few. Why? Why do you ask? Just curious. You shrug. Well, I've dated enough boys to know I'm not the right woman for them. She smirks. I've seen how you are with Charlie. You smirk. Do you hate him? Charlie is a bit of a child. He's 19, but he acts like he's 12. I can be harsh on the people I care about, but I love him more than anything in the world. She smiles at you. Continue. The two of you finally arrive at the pet aisle, and she stops in front of a low row of litter boxes, scanning through them carefully. I don't know which one Percy likes. She crosses her fingers and taps her fingers thoughtfully. Her arms. Oh, sorry. She crosses her arms and taps her fingers thoughtfully. You have a cat? Yes, I'm standing in front of a row of litter boxes, carefully going through them for a reason. She looks at you and chuckles. He walks up to one of the small litter boxes, grabs it, and puts it into the cart. I'll take this one. The two of you move to the welding tools aisle, and as soon as she sees the row of plasma cutters and welders, she claps her hands together and chuckles. It's almost as if she's planning some evil scheme. Plasma cutters, buy them from the store, modify them, and use them to cut through nearly anything. She walks over to them and runs her hands over them and sighs. I don't have that much money though. She turns around and goes back to the shopping cart and pushes it down the aisles. Look at the price tags. Around 2,500 each. You have the money. Buy it for her. You decide to pick up the plasma cutters and bring it with you. You walk up to her and she looks at you curiously. Oh, are you gonna buy that? Yep. Do you know how to use it? No, but you do. You look at her and smile. Oh, yeah, you're buying it for me. She looks around and blushes. You nod. She chuckles. Why, thank you. I don't know what to say. Her cheeks grow red. Thank you very much. She smiles at you. Finally, the two of you arrive at the checkout, and Anna looks at you and asks, "Ugh, sorry. So I got what I came for. Thanks for accompanying me, but I have to get back to the workshop." She looks at you and smiles. No problem. Hope you have a good day. She grabs the plasma cutters you just bought her and smiles to you, blushing again. And, thank you for so much for buying this for me. I'll modify it as soon as I get back. The two of you talk some more as you walk her to her car. You learn a little bit more about her skills in engineering and also a little bit more about her life. You say your goodbyes and return home. It's now past 10 p.m. and you decide to take a rest. But before you go into your room, your phone buzzes with a notification. You take a look and it's a text message from a blocked number. You open it and it simply reads, "Answer." You wonder who it came from, but then someone calls your phone, also from a blocked number. You decide to answer it and you hear a very familiar voice. "Hello, kids. How have you been?" You scour your memory to figure out whose voice it is, trying not to say anything that will give anything away about you. We didn't even finish our little talk, and you already ran away to Chicago. You hear him chuckle. You're lucky I was assigned to your case. Is this that FBI guy who interrogated you at the precinct back in New York? Even though I found your phone number, I can't exactly track you for some reason. You think to yourself that Mouse's phone was successful. Don't say anything. You're lucky I'm the one assigned to your case. Anyone else would have been dumb enough to just go ahead and take you in the second we found your new number. But no, I want to give you a chance. He says. Hang up. You hang up before he can say another word, then put away the phone. You turn around and see Mouse walking out of the bathroom. It seems like he just got out of the shower, so he couldn't have been listening for long. Who was that? Who was that? He asks, drying his hair with a towel. Someone from the FBI just called me. His eyes widen when you mention the FBI, and he immediately freezes. Who? Who was it? Do they know us? He knows who I am. Tell him. But he doesn't know where we live. Mouse looks at you nervously. What does he want? You look at Mouse and say, he wants me to turn informant. Should we tell Gabriel? Mouse asks, suddenly looking for his phone. I don't have Gabriel's number, but I have Caden's. Yeah. Okay. He quickly grabs his phone and dials a number. Hear the ringtone from his phone for a few seconds before someone picks up. Caden? Mouse. Immediately puts the phone on a speaker and sets it between you. There's a problem. What's wrong? The FBI just contacted kids. I think they know who he is, he says nervously. Shit. Alright. Put me on speakerphone, Hayden says. I did. He's here right now, Mouse says. Alright, kids. You need to stay on the down low. We've had something like this happen once before. Gabriel knows what to do. Whatever you do, don't mention this ever again when you're anywhere but your apartment. Understood? Understood, you say. Good. I'll need to go to Gabriel's place. Have a good night, everyone, Hayden says before hanging up. Mouse looks at you worriedly and asks, It's gonna be okay, right? Gabriel will take care of it? It'll be alright. He seems a little comforted by your words. Uh, I think I need to get some sleep, he sighs. Good night, kids. He goes into his room. You walk into your room and decide to get into bed. Your mind spirals and you fall asleep. 3 days until the heist. Alright, let me get in a swig of water and a break. Because, oh boy, does my throat feel dry. Alright, let's give ourselves until 45, and then we'll pick it back up. Up 45. Alright, let's get back on the case then. Resurfacing back into consciousness, your eyes open to your bedroom. You leave the bed, taking a brisk shower, and put on your leather jacket and jeans. You notice that there are a few zip ties on the table, the one Mouse bought for the heist. You check your phone and it's still 7:12 in the morning. Then you notice that it's still dark outside. You also notice that you have a text message on your phone. It says, "The mill. Now." It's from Caden. We're just about to sit down and turn on the news. So you do, and there's breaking news. And there's breaking news. Yeah. Confirmed reports that the mayor of Chicago has been kidnapped by 3 unknown assailants. You hear the female news anchor say. This as it cuts to a photo of the 3 people attacking the mayor security detail. One of them is wearing a purple tracksuit under a full set of heavy body armor, while another seemingly female figure has a green hoodie and cargo pants under a tactical vest. The last one is in all black tactical clothing. They're all wearing ski masks. You wake Mouse up and tell him to get ready, then grab your suit and undershirt, along with the mask. Taking off your leather shirt, jacket, and jeans, you put on the standard Archangel uniform: white shirt, black suit jacket, blue tie, black gloves, and your own custom bloody white mask with a broken heart. You rush out of the apartment with Mouse, your mask hidden beneath your jackets. Kid is waiting outside by an SUV. Come on, we don't have much time. Ah, he says as he rushes into the driver's seat. You both get in, and Caden drives you down the now familiar road to the mill. Man, I don't know what's up. Today seems like it's rough on the vocal cords. We'll do about 9 minutes more then. I don't know why. This thing always takes out a lot. I don't know. Sorry. The mill, 7:32 a.m. You, Caden, and Mouse arrive at the mill, and there's no one there. Caden parks the SUV near the office, hops out, and pulls out his pistol. He holds it by his side and looks towards the entrance of the mill. They should be here any second. You may or may not have company. You and Mouse both pull out your sidearms. A few minutes later, you hear the great gate of the mill opening and the sound of a car approaching. You and Mouse ready your weapons, but as the car comes around the corner, you see a familiar mask behind the windshield, a white hockey mask with a red smiley face. It's Gabriel. You see Caden rushing over to the car as it parks in the middle of the mill. Gabriel hops out of the driver's seat along with Raquel, who's wearing her dark gray cat-like hockey mask with purple whiskers painted on on the cheeks. There's another familiar-seeming man in a plain black hockey mask with no pattern. Gabriel walks to the trunk and says, "Hey, Wolfie, give me a hand with this." Gabriel pops the trunk as Wolfie walks to the back of the sedan. You can now see as Gabriel closes the car door that he's wearing a bulletproof combat vest along with thigh, shoulder, and neck protectors over what seem to be a purple tracksuit. Few parts of his armor have been hit, but he doesn't seem to be bleeding. Raquel and Wolfie, meanwhile, aren't wearing any armor. Yet no bullets seem to have hit either of them. You notice that none of them are wearing the usual suit and blue tie. Raquel wearing a gray hoodie and cargo pants beneath her tactical vest. "What are you gonna do with him?" Wolfie asks. The two of them begin grunting as they pull a person out of the trunk. You can see there's a man whose hands and legs are bound with duct tape, with a bag over his head. I don't I don't know yet. Michael wants to talk to him. Gabriel says as he and Wolfie again pulling the man up to his feet. You hear the man trying to say something beneath the sack over his head, but it seems like his mouth is being covered by something beneath. Gabriel picks the man up and throws him over his shoulder. You would guess that it's quite heavy with all that armor and carrying a full-grown man. But he doesn't show any sign of fatigue as he walks towards you. "Morning, kids," he says as he walks past. Kena walks beside him and asks, "What's going on? Who's that?" "The mayor of Chicago," Gabriel says nonchalantly. "Wait outside for a few minutes. Me and Michael are going to ask him a few questions." He continues as he goes into his office with the mayor of Chicago over his shoulder. A few minutes later, sorry, there's something I gotta look up to sate my curiosity.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Wait outside for a few minutes, and you can hear a few arguments and scuffles coming from inside, followed by a few screams of pain. You also hear Michael's electronically distorted voice, but it sounds like he's not in the same room with them. You wait for a few minutes before finally the door to the office opens and Gabriel walks out. As he does, you briefly see the mayor inside the room, tied up, blood dripping from the side of his mouth. Before the door closes and Gabriel walks to the table in front of the office, he starts taking off his armor piece by piece. Aiden, kids, come here for a second. You and Caden walk over to him, and he takes the heavy bulletproof combat vest off. We're making our move the day after tomorrow. He looks at Caden. Caden, you take care of those rackets. He looks over at you. You take care of that jewelry store. Caden nods. All right. Let me and my team get ready. He turns around and pulls out his phone and starts calling someone. Good. We have 2 days before we start getting busy. Make sure you have a primary and secondary weapon, along with a melee weapon. Buy what you need to prepare. He says as he pulls his Browning high power pistol from the holster in his thigh, lays it down on the table, and begins reloading some of the empty magazines. Raquel walks up to him and taps him on the shoulder. Gabriel stops mid-reload and turns to her. Yes. The two of them stare at each other in silence, as if communicating telepathically. Raquel turns her head towards Wolfie, who's currently tapping his feet impatiently, arms crossed in front of his chest. Raquel turns back to Gabriel and raises an eyebrow beneath the mask. Oh, right. He puts the magazine down and turns to Wolfie. Wolfie, thanks for the help. He pulls out a couple of very thick stacks of $100 bills and throws them to Wolfie. You guess it's around 20,000. We'll call you again when we need you. Wolfie catches them and puts them in one of his pouches. Without saying anything, he turns around and walks to the sedan. Stop calling me in the morning, he shouts before getting in his car and driving in reverse out of the mill, spinning around then forward onto the road. Gabriel finishes loading the pistol magazines before pulling the FNC assault rifle from behind his back and laying it down on the table next to his pistol, then loading the rifle's magazines. Hayden walks over and says, We're setting up a few things. We'll be ready soon. Now's a good time if you want to ask some questions. Ask about the mayor. He'll be fine. We'll probably let him go tonight. Or maybe tomorrow. Don't want the whole city of Chicago cracking down on us that bad yet, Gabriel says. What if he tells them about this place? Relax. Made sure he didn't hear anything or see anything on his way over here, he says, pulling a pistol with his finger and firing it next to his ear. You guess he was deafened on his way here by a gunshot beside the ear. Won't the town go apeshit over this? I thought we were keeping a low profile, Hayden says, questioning Michael's or Gabriel's relaxed tone. Don't worry, I made sure the public second guessed who actually did it, he says, tugging at the collar of his purple sweatshirt. Just be sure to wear our usual suit and blue tie when you do your jobs. Was Michael in there? Nah, he says, chuckling. I called him and put him on speakerphone. He's too busy to come here. Where is he right now? Hayden asks. Cleaning up our mess back in City Hall. He's the only person making sure the city doesn't go on a full-scale manhunt over this, Gabriel says. Is he coming here? I doubt it. Ask about Caden's team job. Caden looks over you and says, I'm gonna be organizing hits on a few captains of the outfit. They should all be in one restaurant, and I'm gonna make it look like a robbery gone horribly wrong. Hopefully, Gabriel says. It won't catch much media attention, but it'll sure hurt the outfit. Caden chuckles. You think kidnapping mayors won't catch the media's attention? For all the media know, the mafia did it. He says, just be sure to wear our usual suit and blue tie, Caden, and we'll be alright. Continue. Gabriel looks at you. Well, go on then, back to your apartment. If there's anything else, I'll call your Mouse. He says, ushering you out of the mill. Have a good day. You and Mouse say your goodbyes, and Caden drives the two of you back to the apartment. Alright. Seems like a good place for stopping. Whenever I do this thing, my voice always ends up getting shredded. Dude, this blows. I want to keep going, but my throat feels like it's scratchy, like the way you would when you get sick. That type of deal. So I suppose I'll just have to catch you guys tomorrow. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a great and awesome rest of your day. Make sure you rest up your voice. Catch you on the other side of the day. Stay frosty, and I'll catch you on the other side of the day. Adios. Mis amigos. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.